This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show at 81215. That makes it interactive and vibrant. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. That does likewise. And email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Free. So,
Morgan.
Guten Morgen.
That was last bit was for my crowd, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I like to bring everyone in. I have long arms and they form a beautiful embrace, I find. Oh, we'll be seeing the Gareth Bale heart again soon, won't we?
Oh, yeah.
You know, he tried to, when you hold up your finger and thumb and make a heart.
Painting the picture for the radio audience. Very nice.
Lovely.
I'm painting it, but he tried to patent it. Did you know that?
I've heard that.
He actually tried to patent that thing. I think he failed. 'Cause you know those surprising things when, like, Elvis, the word Elvis got copyrighted.
Did it?
And
Is that
stuff
right?
Yeah. I think also the only something is something, like the only way is Essex.
Right.
I think that construct got patented.
Was that to do with Brian?
A construct.
Well, Brian Bellow, there was something.
Amazing.
Do you remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Brian Bellow, I've worked with him.
Yes.
You've worked with them all.
Who had something to do with the original Only Way is Essex, I believe.
Yes.
You know my my
them.
Brian Bellow story. Do you know that?
No.
Can you tell us it loudly?
But I'm so envious of you being able to even say that sentence.
I did a show with Brian Bellow, and we had to, that game where you have to communicate something that's on your card to your partner, but you can't say any word that's on the card.
Yeah.
We had to. It was British Icons was the theme, and he got his card and he started dancing quite provocatively, and I was thinking, God, who said? It clearly wasn't Morris dancing, and I was, Teddy Carr and Pearl Johnson. It was obscure guesses, and then he played like a little guitar, and I was really, and he started sweating, and he was dancing more and more, and I gave up. I just couldn't get it, which I hate not getting in the game. And he said, "Oh well, it was Hawaii." And I said, what way? Whoa. What way is that as a British? And then the producer came in and said, no, went over to him, and it was the Haywain. And he'd misread it, the constable painting. So it was a confusing thing, but I like him. And I think, he said he invented...
The Only Way is Essex.
They had to give him, I think, £1 million for his idea. Good on him. Not bad. Good on him. Nice little holiday in Suffolk.
I've always...
Yeah. He thought it was Hawaii, but it got mixed up.
I've always got jealous of people that have, like, big, lucrative ideas, because my ideas are all very small. My ideas are more like, should we get takeaway tonight? Like and people say, that's a good idea. And I go, well, I'm an ideas man, but they're all at this level.
But you don't want to be the Zuckerbergs, the pressure that the Zuckerbergs have.
But those guys who invent one thing, one object, I love that. Like Velcro or something.
Right.
That's great. I had an idea.
We'll get 200 texts now saying Velcro was NASA or something.
I know.
Or like Hans Rousing. Thank you.
Bless you.
And the flap on the milk carton, the modern milk carton.
I hate that.
Well, take it up with the Rousing family.
Because I find when you pull it out,
Tetra Pak,
when you pull it into a
nice.
lip, I find often it doesn't completely separate, and you get an unsatisfactory tear on the lip. I hate that.
Whereas the silver foil on top of the old school milk bottle was very satisfying to stick the thumb into.
The silver foil.
The top of an old...
The bottle top milk
I think
bottle.
David Taylor, the old snooker player. That was the silver fox.
The milk
silver
bottle
foil.
tops.
That would be like a veteran fencer known as the silver foil.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Can I say, at the end of those of you, let's not get nostalgic about the last link. but
Don't worry, I wasn't.
at the end of it, I did a fabulous piece of wordplay in which I suggested that a veteran fencer would be known as the silver foil. And then what you do is you punctuate on your on radio. You get the gag, and then you hit the music. It's all done beautifully. It makes life feel smooth. And then I hit the music, and Alan said that was an example of rapier wit, and I felt I'd hurt him in some way.
But you hadn't.
Not deliberately, obviously, but if I run someone over, it's probably an accident, but I still feel terrible.
I like the probably there. Yeah. Just there's an element of doubt.
Just so you know, most people would have said that sentence without inserting the caveat of probably.
Full disclosure, I sometimes run people over on purpose.
Normally.
I'm saying I can imagine a situation where one would run someone over on purpose.
Let's not dwell.
No, let's not list. Shall we have that 8:12:15?
Yeah.
People who've run someone over on purpose. Oh gosh,
No,
I better not say that.
I get what you mean. You felt there was a bit of regret.
Well, I like comedy. I'm a comedy fan as well as a comedian.
You're not on a date.
And
Something a strange man.
Yeah, I like The Fall and I like comedy.
What do you like? I like curling up in front with a bottle of red wine.
oh no, I don't like that.
No, but that's what they say, isn't it?
But
A box set. I like a box set.
What about in the old
I've not
days?
done any dating for a long time. Is that what they say?
You see, what about in the old days when the hobbies were very straightforward, Frank? Reading,
Yeah.
writing letters.
the trouble is, I used to like.
Writing letters?
I used to like curling up in front of a wheelie bin with a bottle of red wine. It's a very different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Writing letters. All those things, interests at the end of a job application. Walking, film.
Yeah.
Well, they said films in those days. If they said film, obviously you thought they were off
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, Frank, if it's any consolation, thank you for bringing up my joke that I did off air. And to be honest, I'm fine with not having got it on in the last link because I think I should have thought of it quicker and said it quicker.
well, I
Live
know,
by the
but
comedy sword, die by the comedy sword.
If you'd have got, just wave your hand at me if you feel one bobbling under,
Okay.
and I'll delay the music long enough.
Complicated
Never gonna happen.
strategy.
The trouble is, I was watching. I'll tell you this in a minute. But the idea about the courage it takes to do a gag in like a gag like Get a Load of This in company. I had a very fine example of it the other night.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So I tell you, we were on about, because Al just did a tremendous joke at the rapier wit pun that he did earlier, and I quashed it accidentally.
Touche, Al.
And I think if I said to Al, when he told it me, I said, why don't I fade down the music and you can do it then? But that is such a frame. It's a gold frame you'll put it in there. And if you feel it hasn't gone well, that's it. And there are times when you deliver a gag and it really needs to go well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching a documentary about Nora Ephron.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know her, the writer? And
Big fan of hers.
One of the things she wrote was When Harry Met Sally. And she said, and do you know the bit that everyone remembers from that movie, I didn't write. And of course, the bit everyone remembers is Meg Ryan getting excited in the restaurant.
Lovely euphemism, Frank.
It was, yeah. I tried it once and was thrown out. But anyway, so she does this performance, and that was totally Meg Ryan's suggestion. Meg Ryan in the read through.
Well, it will allude to it as the "I'll have what she's having" scene.
Well, that is what we're getting to.
Sorry.
No, it's
Preempted
fine.
you.
So she did in the rehearsal room. She said, "Well, at the read through?" She said, "What about this?" And she did it, and they all not just laughed, but at the end they applauded. And she said, and then Billy Crystal said, "Yeah, and then you can cut to a woman on an adjoining table saying, I'll have what she's having." And I thought, that takes guts. A woman does that, gets applause at the read-through, and then you do a topper. What if that? And then and him going, and then the woman at the table says, wait for it, I'll have what she's having. And they'll go, the thought of it. So well played, Billy Crystal, for your courage.
In keeping with our late review element of this show.
I like the courage of the male stand-up.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone to be able to try and follow that, I mean, wow.
Yeah. It's true.
Wowee.
Frank, we've had some outside world correspondence. You were talking about, you mentioned...
Can I just stop you there for a second? Have you ever been to the southern states of America?
I have.
You know, what I love there is if you thank someone for, like, a waiter or a waitress, whatever. You know, in Italy, if you say grazie, they go prego. They always do that thing.
Right.
And
Hopefully not with as much contempt in their voice as that.
Do you like
Prego.
the Italian language being referred to as that thing?
Yeah. Prego. No, it's just a bit of wind. But in the southern here, I suppose you'd say thank you. Well, you'd be lucky if you got anything back here, but you might get you're welcome. In the southern states of America, when you've ordered your biscuits and gravy and maybe some grits, and you say thank you, they go and I really like it.
Yes.
I'm going to start using it, I think.
Frank, you mentioned earlier inventors.
Yes.
And I can't remember what it was in relation to now.
I think we were just saying how great to invent one item that makes you.
And then live off it. Yeah,
And then I
brilliant.
mentioned Tetra Pak, and Alan got very excited. Daydreamer has got in touch to say my go-to inventor in conversation is Percy Shaw, inventor of Cat's Eye Road Markers.
Oh,
Great.
very good
stuff.
Great work, DD.
Yeah, that used to be one of the things that was cited as an invention. And you'd get an interview with Percy Shaw, and he'd be in a shed, and just behind him there'd be like a thing with like a bugle fitted to it, which is obviously an invention that hadn't worked out, but it's not referred to. And you think, I wonder what that is. But yeah, the cat's eyes.
It was sort of the eccentric inventor I knew very little about him, but now Dyson was briefly in that chair. And
Yeah.
I think it's currently position vacant.
Oh,
Frank, just saying.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'll see what I do. I've got my bath plug invention.
You're all right, thanks.
Go on, stick around. I'll let you in on this one.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
What was... Oh, yeah, I must have told you my invention before. The idea is like not a football, but a blown-up ball
oh yeah.
on the end of a short chain of your length. You decide the length. And on the other end is a bath plug, which means the bath could never overflow, because it'd get to the point where the ball floating on the top of the water would pull the plug out. So if the water got too deep and the chain was fully extended, it would pull the plug out. What do you think? Not impressed, Al?
I'm surprised that hasn't gone to market, if it would work. Have you tested it in any way?
I'm not surprised.
Alpha or beta tested it in any way?
I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
What, have I tested it in Greece?
Yeah.
Is it one of those places where the water goes down a different direction? No, I haven't tested it, but it seems surely all the logic's there. Just, I've only done it like twice in my life, but that moment when you realise you've left the bath on and you go into the bathroom, and it's literally...
Oh, yeah.
I think it happens in the first Paddington story.
Yes.
It's a horrible feeling. Especially if you're in a
well-known
flat.
documentary
I was
movie.
going to say, that's where you get all your scientific data.
Yeah, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I like you doing one of those Christmas speeches they always do at the Royal Scientifics.
Yeah.
Beginning with...
People in tweed.
And you kick off with the Paddington film.
In films, whenever people do one of those speeches at like the National Geographic Society, and then like the experts start shoving and smirking and laughing at that person.
Oh, yeah.
It happens. They're a horrible crowd.
We've had an enjoyable text in.
Horrible crowd. Go on.
644 has texted, following up on your running people over comment, you were mooting the idea that you might possibly run someone over
I'm not
on
writing
purpose.
off. I could imagine a situation where I would deliberately run someone out.
So it was, this isn't coming unprovoked, this story. It's just coming in. Following up on your running people over comment, I was run over by the road safety officer of Middlesbrough on my way to secondary school.
Wow.
She gave me her business card in case I was hurt, and I kept it for years as my claim to fame. Irony.
That is one business card I would not have handed over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've also
physician heal thyself.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
We've also heard from James. Hi, Frank and the gang. Whatever happened to Mensa? The High IQ Society.
Oh, I'm sure they still get a mention now and again.
I tell you who brings it up. Carol Vorderman.
Does she?
Well,
Yeah.
James continues, to me, the very notion of having an IQ seems to be a very turn of the millennium era phenomenon. There were also some great nominees for people who sat in the high IQ chair. Frank, you've just mentioned Vorders. James mentions both Madonna and Marilyn Manson come to mind.
Dolph Lundgren.
Madonna. Dolph Lundgren.
People used to talk about Dolph Lundgren. You know, he's a big martial artist guy, but he's also a brain box.
Oh, I know.
I only worked out recently what his actual name was.
Oh?
Who?
Dolph Lundgren.
What is
His
it?
birth name. It's short for
Dolphin?
Adolf.
Oh, dear. You want to be
it's a
short
nice
for
name.
Dolphin. You really want to be short for Dolphin.
I mean, it's no wonder he shortened it, that's all I'm saying.
You know, you want to be... Not if you got the choice, that's where you want to go with that. Oh my goodness gracious! Adolf Lundgren would have got nowhere, would he? Nowhere.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a text that I think might be controversial that I found on my, my Friday night trawl.
Producers just tensed up a bit.
No, not that controversial. Although she might think it's controversial. We'll see. Dear Frank et al., regarding Frank's adoption of Coulsdon as a word meaning cool, which you did last week.
Yeah, well, and the week before, I think.
All right, it's really taking off.
Yeah, I've done it 4 times.
My friends and I have for a long time been referring to anything we dislike as Grimsby. For obvious reasons. Feel free to add this to your geography-based vocabulary. Praise redacted. Ed, I wonder how the people of Grimsby feel about it.
That's my problem. You see, I imagine the people of Coulsdon are dancing in the streets to be associated with cool.
You keep imagining that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet they're thrilled.
Yeah.
With their Coulsdon postcodes dancing in the streets.
I got a text from one of the senior puppet masters at Absolute Radio.
Oh, did you?
This week.
Yeah.
Our Absolute Radio overlords.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, from... and from Paul Sylvester, who's one of the big cheesies here. And he was saying to me that he was with his partner and they had to take their shoes and socks off for some reason. And one of them referred to Zola Bod.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I think she's still in the bare feet chair. You know, we have the idea of the chair that people go to, like the beautiful woman chair, the handsome bloke chair, the drunkard chair, that she's in. And I said, God, I remember when Sandy Shaw was in that.
Right, I don't.
You see, my
I
era
think
would
she
have been
invented the cat's eyes.
Björk.
Björk?
Is she barefoot?
I associated her a bit.
No, I'm disappointed in you, Em. I hoped yours would be the pianist on the beach. Remember that guy, the classical pianist who was found washed up in a suit but no shoes and socks.
Yes.
With a full, crumpled dinner suit.
Yeah.
And then I'm afraid he turned out to be fraudulent.
Oh, did he?
That is a shame.
Sadly,
That's
Excellent.
a shame. What about the people who have something happens to they have some sort of oxygen to the brain stops, and then they start speaking a foreign language? You know, that's. I mean,
or like a Cornish accent or something.
That's one of those fabulous
Geordie
things.
happens quite regularly.
Yeah, I love a recurring story in the press. You get one of those every maybe 8, 9.
Yeah.
Local news on local news. I watch local news just every weekday as a kid. Never questioned it. You just watch local news. And I'd say once a year there would be coverage of a gurning contest. You know those things when people have to pull big faces looking through a horse collar? It's a really weird, obscure thing, but I've always got, the gurning is a gurn.
Yeah.
Do people still gurn? 8, 12, 15. Can you think of a recurring theme that crops up regularly on local news? I'd love to hear that. 8, 12, 15.
The This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text us, I don't know if you heard that, on 81215, and then you are part of the show. It's an interactive, shared... You know, we lose that sort of us and them thing. Do that. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio if you're more cyber world minded. And email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Please.
Just for the avoidance of doubt.
I like please.
I felt it needed another word and I couldn't come up with one.
Please.
I'll always fall back on politeness.
I just, for the avoidance of doubt, I don't want to entirely lose the concept of us and them. I'd still I'm fine with the lines being a bit blurred when people chip in.
Okay.
It's good, but, you know.
Well, I'll do
I'm not sharing the check, is all I'm saying.
Later in the link, I'll try and re-establish us and them. Get some sort of velvet rope-based comment.
Yeah.
This, some intel here, Frank. Eddie from Coulsdon. One of your lot.
Very good.
One of your gang. I've just checked. No sign of street dancing yet.
Oh, well,
but
it's
obviously,
early, Eddie.
As Eddie points out, we all get up late here after partying all night. I'll let you know.
Coulsdon. Oh, man.
Frank, you'll get a do you think you'll get a hero's welcome if you drive through Coulsdon?
No.
Yeah.
In a word, I don't think they knew who I was with this hairstyle. My hair is, as you know, as I've said before, it looks very like the hair of the 19th century illustrator Aubrey Beardsley. And Emily very kindly today arrived with styling gel as a gift. You know, that, if that isn't a hint, I don't know what is.
That's like giving someone deodorant as a Christmas present.
Yes.
Honestly, I was genuinely sent some goodies, and you popped into my head.
I fear that if I don't use the gel in 2 weeks' time, Emily will say, "Oh, I got you this." It'll be a balaclava.
I think she'd probably go with another gel and then a balaclava.
No, do you think?
Yeah,
well, we'll see what the process
Comedy
is.
rule of 3, just to switch the final one. We've also had an email, overt recycling. Do you remember we talked about the upcycling of things?
When you can see what's been recycled in the new item, yeah.
Yes. I've been binge listening to your podcasts. I got a bit behind, so apologies. On one of your podcasts, Frank asked for examples of overt recycling. I have one you may not believe. My mum's partner is very tight when it comes to money. Glass houses. A few years ago, on a visit, I noticed they had some new lampshades on their dining room wall lights. They looked vaguely familiar, and then it dawned on me that they bore a striking resemblance to the plastic trifle bowls that supermarket trifles come in. Guess what? They were. I honestly don't know whether to be appalled at the stinginess or impressed by the inventiveness.
Yeah.
They are still there to this day. On the subject of wedding dresses, I can't actually see that bit. Anyway, they also asked, this is the bit that I'm interested in. P.S. Is Aleister Crowley, former owner of Brian May's house, the same Mr. Crowley that Ozzy Osbourne sings about?
Well, I think Aleister Crowley was an occultist.
Yes.
Oh, was he?
And some feel a devil worshipper, but I don't know if that's been established. Apparently he used to have his Christmas tree upside down in the house, pointing down there rather than up.
Oh.
Is it not Jimmy Page that...
Well, I think a few rock stars have bought his houses because of that. There used to be a whole, if there's a hustle in your hedgerow, they were all into that kind of stuff.
I thought the Aleister Crowley house was the Jimmy Page, Robbie Williams.
Was it that one?
I believe
He could have had. He probably had to move a lot. You can imagine the neighbours.
Crowley. There's no relation to Gary Crowley, was he?
Big pile of headless chickens in the garden. They probably got fed up at that. Hoof marks on the lawn.
Yeah.
Oh no, Aleister, look, mate, live and let live. But
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had some property confirmation through from Greg on 038. Not for any of our personal portfolios in some cases. But Jimmy Page owned Crowley's Scottish retreat, Boleskine House.
What's it called? Moleskin?
Boleskine. Think moleskin, but with a B.
Oh, I wonder what... That's probably some dark reference to something.
So I believe we were correct in assuming it was Page, not May. Tower House in Holland Park, where he had the issue with Williams, was owned by Richard Harris.
Oh. You see, I...
Always pre-loved the celebrity house.
Jimmy Page seems right in the home of some devil worshipper guy, whereas Brian May doesn't.
Yeah,
Brian May protects,
badgers.
Badgers. Is
it badgers?
Yeah.
He likes badgers. He's got his clogs. He's got Anita Dobson. He's happy.
He just seems to sort of...
I think his buttocks have healed. Didn't he tear his...
Oh, yeah, he tore both his buttocks. Gardening.
Ouchie,
That was a horror.
An old excuse.
223 has said, I think Eddie must reside in Old Coulsdon. We're dancing lower down the hill.
Well, here you go.
Heroes Welcome would certainly be on the cards in either locale.
Fabulous. I'm enjoying an orange twirl. I'm not dancing with Ryland Clark. I've been given... Emily brought in these. I didn't know there was an orange version. This was quite a bit of a cult thing, do you remember, of taking already extant chocolate bars and then oranging them up?
Yes.
Do you know, I saw them in the petrol station and I thought, I think my colleagues would like those.
Did you?
I felt like Daddy Warbucks. I really did. I said, I'll have 5, please.
5?
I said 5.
Well... I'll tell you what.
Burn.
I'll tell you what. Do you remember when Boris Becker had a liaison in a broom cupboard in a London restaurant?
Yes,
I do. I believe it was Nobu.
If instead of Boris Becker and the lady in question, it had been a Terry's chocolate orange and a flake, this would have been the child.
I see.
Yeah. I think that the child was orange. Wasn't that the problem? The child was orange, which kind of gave the game away. By the way, we were talking about, was it lights that were trifle cases?
Yes.
I remember when I bought my first ever flat, I went into a B&Q in Wolverhampton to get some things, and they had some of those lights, those lights, ceiling lights with like a sort of
things,
things for a new house.
Did you have that on your shopping list?
Yeah.
Things.
When you move into a place, you need things that you didn't have before. And they had those lights that have they're in a cage. Those lights that you get on ceilings?
Exactly.
And I thought I loved those. I want to put those in the flat.
Yeah.
So I bought 4. I had them in my trolley like you do at B&Q. And the guy looked at them and I said, I was talking to the person I was with. I said, I can have 2 in the living room, 2 in the bedroom. And he said, them for a garage. I said, I know, but I thought they'd work well in this flat. And he said, them for a garage. I mean, completely. I mean, this far and no further. He let me purchase them, but I really felt a sense of having done something wrong. If you're listening, mate, they look lovely.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We've been sitting. I haven't really been joining in because I haven't seen the documentary. But we're forming a sort of a doc club where we say you've got to watch that documentary about blah blah. And Emily's contribution this week is Lance Armstrong documentary.
Yeah, Lance or Lance. Sorry.
No. It's you pay your money. And during it, I was thinking, I've had some contact about writing a further memoir. I'm not sure about it.
No, why not?
Because I'm worried about multi-memoir. I don't know if you've ever read the Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy.
Lawrence Stern, I have.
But in that, he says, I've decided on what I'm going to do is write 2 volumes every year and just keep bringing out my memoirs and live off that. And I thought that was a ridiculous joke in the 18th century. But anyway, I was thinking you were talking about Lance Armstrong, and I thought if I bring out another one, it's about my life, my mind, whatever a autobiography is about, I could call it Tour de Francis. What do you think?
Oh.
Didn't go that well. So that's how it could have gone for Billy Crystal. And that's what courage is all about, like getting it out there. Phew.
Well, I'd be very happy if you would dip your toe in the water again, because I very much enjoyed your poetry book, and what I thought is I've missed your writing. Thank you.
Well,
Good day.
I do like a bit of prose.
Yeah.
You like a bit of praise.
Oh,
I'll tell you that.
Not read out on air, though.
Frank, you were talking...
sorry. We were discussing Emily's...
Come on.
Emily's gift of some orange twirl bars for the whole... when my mum says twirl, because she's Glaswegian, she puts an extra vowel in it, so it becomes twirl.
Twirl, that's nice, isn't it?
Oh, yes, that's like Richard Madden of Bodyguard fame. I'm going to name drop. Prepare, everyone. Gather ye hoovers while ye may.
Yeah.
He said to me once, do you like a curly whirly? Wowee.
Yeah. Like you're having confectionery chat with films.
I thought he'd spotted one on the duvet.
Aye.
And after he'd said that, did he then look into the distance for about 2 minutes with a lot of intense music playing?
My name is David Budd.
I can't imagine having a sort of light-hearted chat with him. He feels like a man whose intensity could make him explode at any
Madden
moment.
has an extraordinary sense of humour, I find.
Does he?
Extraordinary.
But does he then look away and go... With him still looking, oh man.
Anyway, we've had a recommendation from 341 has texted, hello, this is Mark from Plymouth. Shout out to Plymouth. Hi Frank and the team. You should go into the pound shop because they have lemon Turkish delight. It sounds wrong, but just yes.
No, it doesn't sound wrong.
Let me just write this down. You should go into the pound shop. Just leave that with me. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in for you there, isn't there? I was thrown by the lemon Turkish delight, but Emily, it's the pound shop.
I love my favourite. For me, the queen of the desserts is lemon. The lemon meringue. What? A lemon meringue. And it sounds like a lemon meringue, a sort of lemon meringue spin-off.
It's just usually I hear the queen of the desert, not the queen of the dessert.
So lemon meringue Turkish delight is like George and Mildred was to Man About the House. You know what I mean? I'm going to try that.
Do you like Sarah Lee?
Do I like
Sarah Lee?
The gatto.
What, those little...
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant those little triangular cheeses. Sarah Lee? I've never heard of that.
No, Laughing Cow.
Oh, no. I remember there was a story in, I think, the Sun newspaper when someone saw Elvis's face in a piece of cake and the headline was in the gatto.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, you've been asking people... You haven't been asking, but people have been sending in their favourite inventors.
Oh, yeah.
On Twitter. Annabelle Grant has said... Prof. Pat Pending in Wacky Races.
Oh, yeah. What a great name as well, Pat Pending.
That's good.
Clever stuff.
He was
a big... I would say he was a man... he was big on telescopics.
Oh, yeah.
Pat Pending. He had lots of... Like, the wheels would go into big, long legs.
I think he sold a lot of that stuff to Inspector Gadget.
Oh, maybe he did.
On.
Yeah, there was similarities. Do you think Pending was ripped off?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Surely he would have covered his rights with a name like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have had some others, but Joseph Shivers, inventor of Lycra.
Oh, I don't... That's not a...
Is that a joke?
Well, this is what I was waiting.
Don't think it's a joke.
I spent several minutes thinking about the permutations, the lewd permutations, and I couldn't come up with any, so it might be genuine.
Of course, my favourite inventor is Wilfred Makepeace Lonn, who used to be like a TV inventor, who would, like an eccentric, used to have like one lens of his sunglasses was red and the other one blue, and he had a wax moustache and a straw bow tie.
I like the
What's
sound
the
of
sort
him.
of person who'd have been What's My Line or Call My Bluff? Or...
I think he did those sort of 7 o'clock sort of This Is Fun type television.
Brilliant.
I liked him. I think he did genuine. I'd love to know if anyone knows a real, actual invention that Wilfred Makepeace on. You know, if we found out that he invented, I don't know, the biro, something, that would make me very happy.
I was once comparing at the Comedy Store, and there was a gentleman on the front row with, you know, those sort of moustaches that twiddle up.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, out flamboyant clothing. And as I was chatting to him, I realised he had a watch on each wrist. And I went, have you got a watch on each wrist? And he went, I like watches. And I thought, can't argue with that.
Fair enough.
That's a great answer.
He could have been a football referee as well. There used to be a story. I knew a West Brom player. I met him a few times, called Johnny on the Spot Nichols.
Oh, yeah.
What was a handy birth name?
Yeah, it was. The middle bit was a nickname, okay, but I always used to call him Johnny on the Spot. I met him about 3 times, and he told a story. There was a referee, a one-armed referee, because this was quite near to the World War II, so there was...
Right.
That was not like an unusual thing, and he was a one-armed referee, and he used to have his watch on the very short... what was remaining of the arm that he'd lost in the war, and Johnny on the Spot said to her, "How long to go, ref?" And he said he had to really struggle to read this, the watch on the remains of his arm, and Johnny on the Spot said, "Why do you wear it on the other arm?" He said, "I can't wind it up." Makes so much sense, doesn't it?
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've just had a text in. It's an odd text in that we're running now. Houses that Aleister Crowley used to
that
own.
old one.
I don't know who Aleister Crowley is, really.
I'll tell you what worries me about that. I think Bush and Richie did the same texting last week.
Anyway, 653 has said to Frank, Aleister Crowley also had a house in Cefalù, Sicily, which is now condemned. I returned from Sicily last week and no luck in seeing it. Also, an iconic picture of Bowie as an Egyptian was inspired by Crowley, and that's from Paul in Bath.
Did he come from money, Crowley? Because he's got
He's
got all these houses. Well, I'm telling you, he was a celebrity diabolist.
He was, and he was sort of.
I don't mean he did the Diabolo. The circus skills.
Yes, 653 adds to add. Mussolini expelled him for satanic practices. A bit rich.
Well, everyone's got a ceiling. Yeah.
Too far now.
Yeah.
You've gone too far now.
Yeah, imagine getting that from Mussolini. Well, you're some sort of extremist, mate.
I have a feeling Al Crowley, you know how you like to call Cristiano Ronaldo Chris?
Don't mention it, but same initials as someone not too far away.
Al Cochran.
Yeah. The AC, the AC,
the AC, yeah,
the OG AC, the original AC. I think he was quite posh. Right. I have a feeling, which interests me because I often see your devil worshipper as I wouldn't describe them as posh normally.
But dyed black hair and piercings. Yeah, that could be right. I don't know that I know any, but I mean we might all know one, of course.
A devil worshipper?
Yeah, we might do.
They're quite open these days, aren't they?
Are
devil
they?
worshippers?
Maybe, I don't know. Obviously, they wouldn't be around our house. Well, if they was, it's only in groups of 6.
Is the eyebrows?
The eyebrows?
They have very high plucked eyebrows, I find.
What, the men as well?
Well, the men, yeah.
You're thinking of The Only Way is Essex again now?
The Only Way is Hades. That... Because you couldn't say that because the construct has been patented, of course. It would be great if Aleister Crowley had a TV show called The Only Way is a Hades. Oh, man, I'd have watched that. Round the Horn.
722 has responded. As far as I can tell, the only one to respond to this text in that you started running. Hello, Frank and team. On the topic of recurring local news stories.
Oh, yes.
Border News covers the murmuration of starlings at Gretna every year, since before I can remember.
What is a murmuration?
I'd like to know what a murmuration of starlings is, please.
Is that the collective noun, or is it
Yes.
something that they do?
I guess it's their
They
arrival.
murmurate.
Well, is it a verb of some sort?
I don't want to
then?
find out that murmurate is something disgusting that they do, and I'm
do you
banning
think
that
so?
on breakfast.
Or something sad.
No, it might
Oh,
be.
do you think?
I think it's
Something
probably
sort of,
something good.
It sounds...
Self-harm related.
no, murmurate. It sounds something... It's got murmur in it. It sounds something done not with great gusto
yeah,
by the
yeah.
starlings.
It'd be good if we were to now play Elbow Starling, but I don't think we are going to, are we?
That'd be...
We can't do requests on this show. Absolute Radio are very clear about that rule.
Oh, that would be... yeah. And I don't think we've got anything with murmurate in it. But it's like... it's,
Regulate.
but that's-
Regulate Warren G. That's the best we can do.
But that's it with murmurate. You either love it or you hate it.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 8 12 15. A lot of people have today. I've got to say, you've been on top form today, guys. I love it because...
Guys, it's like a team talk. Is this half time or something?
Oh, yeah, Al's upset because I'm breaking down the us and them again. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. I'm very proud of our readership. I just think we got some smart, funny
They
people,
just-
okay?
Well, we've
They
actually had
always
some
seem
information.
to get it right.
We
you
need
know?
to convey this before 100 more people send us a version of it. We asked what
That's
a
how
murmuration...
the bosses of Absolute are going, no, it's 50 pence a time. Let's hold it to the next link.
We didn't know what a murmuration of starlings...
No.
Do you remember a couple of weeks ago somebody called us townies? We're such townies.
Yeah.
And I
You
think
get starlings in...
here's further evidence that we don't
Why
know
were
the
we
animal
called
kingdom.
townies? It was. I think we were.
I think it's because we didn't know how an animal corpse was disposed of. But anyway,
yeah.
a murmuration is something fascinating, says 393. It's the way that a flock of starlings swoops and turns in the sky.
Oh,
Lovely.
that sort of tea leaves thing that starlings do.
Cheers, long-time reader, first-time commentator. Congratulations, Kitty. It's a good start.
I've watched
to your
it many
commenting
times
career.
over the West Pier at Brighton.
Have
You get them swirling
Do you
like
know,
tea leaves in the sky.
I
It's a
love the
beautiful
way you
thing.
said that. You
Yeah.
sounded
Poetic.
well, I mean, it's very apt being
He's all over the poetry
poetry
these
czar,
days. All
the
over
nation's
it.
current
Poetry
poetry
czar.
czar. I call him the poetry czar.
What about my son? the
He
other
said,
day?
I've watched them many times, Frank,
Yeah.
and I loved it. It was very Kubla Khan.
My son, who's 8, said to me on Sunday night when I put him to bed, he said, I've got to go to school again tomorrow morning. And I said, I know, but that's life, you know. He said, the weekend goes so quickly. It's like when you put sheets of paper in a fire. And I thought, poetry everywhere.
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 I don't like the idea of a poetry czar, though. I mean, we're living in dystopian times as it is. But anyway...
Can I say, at this point, now that it's cropped up, I have tremendous news for the nation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, they all think they've had a vaccine news flash. No.
Frank's going to How to Enjoy Poetry too.
No, but Frank Skinner's poetry podcast, Series 2, is available from this Monday, the 28th.
Oh,
I
excellent.
got the trailer through.
So,
I'm on it. I'm on it, dear.
Oh, are you?
Oh, yes, I'm all
splendid.
over it.
I'm back.
I got a poetry news update, Frank.
Wow, I
so you
didn't think
did.
they existed. That's tremendous news. So, I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited about it.
Well, that's good. I'd like to talk to you guys about Wrexham Football Club.
Oh, bring it down. Why don't you?
I thought it was a step up, actually, but
I know.
maybe I misread the room.
It's been a glamorous, perhaps their most glamorous week ever. I would
Yes,
have thought.
I think
Can we preface this by saying it sounded so like the plot line, this story, of a feel-good British film with National Lottery funding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another job for Toby Jones.
Reese Fans as the comedy goalkeeper,
Yes.
Yeah, Max Beasley, local reporter.
and as Ryan Reynolds, Michael Sheen, of course.
Oh, yeah.
We should explain, Alan Cochrane.
Hollywood stars Ryan Reynolds and a guy, what's his name?
Hold on, you can't say Hollywood stars and the second one begins and a guy. What's his name?
I don't know this other
You
guy.
said stars.
Yeah, well,
His name
apparently
is
they are big stars.
Rob McElhenney.
Yeah.
Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which I've never seen.
Me neither.
No, I've never. I'd say something. One thing I know
What a
about
trio,
Rob McElhenney is he did that thing that actors do of putting on like 4 stone for a part. You know, they do that.
Did
thing. Yeah, that Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
I don't know if Daniel Day-Lewis has actually ever put on weight, but he's done everything else.
Well, Brando always
did
said
it.
he
Robert
didn't know.
De
He
Niro
just
did
ate
it.
Haagen-Dazs and then he could only get the parts that he had to be big for.
Yeah.
But Daniel Day, what I would like to do is pretend to be a major Hollywood producer and offer Daniel Day-Lewis Long John Silver and see if he's prepared. See if he's prepared to go
the full Armstrong, as I call it.
Exactly.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were discussing Rob McElhenney.
McElhenney, let's call him. Okay.
And Ryan
McElhenney.
Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds for...
Rob McElhenney.
That'll be the Wrexham song now.
It will. It absolutely will.
Yeah. Well, they're possibly going to invest £2 million into Wrexham Football Club.
I mean, this is like a story that you're going to wake up from, isn't it? A Hollywood star and a friend of his who's also in the business approach Wrexham and not even
He's
a
a bit
league
more than
team.
that.
Not even a league team, though, and says we want to put £2 million in.
Yeah.
How?
Also-
I've never really heard a how from this story.
Well, Rob McElhenney, he we don't watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, none of us, I think.
I don't know.
However, it is huge, and he's not just the star of it, he's the creator and showrunner. So he's worth a fortune. Ryan Reynolds sold his aviation gin company for a huge amount of money. There were rumours
Can we just say
that they have a combined worth of over 1.5 billion, someone said.
Can we just say that the aviation gin is capital A? It's called aviation. It's not
Yes.
gin for pilots. That's just normal gin.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think they probably... I don't know what kind of wages they're on. I think it depends what's on the optics in the cockpit.
Oh, God.
But why did this... it felt like a bet to me, and I mean that
Oh, do you think so?
seriously.
Do you?
If you're worth 1.2 billion,
Yeah.
would you just think 2 million, we can write that off as a tax thing.
Yes.
What
Right.
shall we do? And maybe think football club and just look at a list of British football clubs and just go ping.
Maybe.
He's got previous Reynolds.
Has it?
I'm not sure about...
McElhenney.
Thank you. However, Reynolds has been spotted at various European clubs, just as a
I
fan.
see.
I think he's a
likes
soccer
soccer?
fan. He likes
Okay.
soccer. Yeah.
He's the Green Lantern as well. He should have bought Plymouth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
don't get that.
Deadpool... You see, he's the star of Deadpool, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Which you two
Fond
made
of
me
Deadpool.
watch. Great recommendation.
Really funny.
Very funny. I'm swearing if there's kids watching.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Superhero
Jokes if
relax.
there's any millennials that are like really politically correct. It's got jokes in it, so you might not love it.
Oh, he's got
You
it.
know?
The moment for me, superhero relaxes in Crocs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So it's fan-owned currently, isn't it, Wrexham?
Yes.
And they had to vote, is that right? What I liked is that in some places it said 95%, some places 97%, but it was overwhelmingly in favour.
You do the math.
I would like to meet the 3%
Yeah.
of people. Can you imagine what they're like, those people?
I bet it was a sort of an anti-McElhenney thing. Never heard of him. Right. What is Sunny in Philadelphia? Never heard of it, man. Can't they come round here, trying to buy Wrexham? Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get text saying that's a South Wales
I
accent.
know we are.
Yeah, but he's allowed.
Is it
Just telling you what people are going to say.
Is it like? Do you remember the American very rich bloke bought London Bridge and thought he was going to get the one that opened up in the middle, and London Bridge was just a bridge?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you think they've got? Was it like West Ham? So
Yes.
they got that West Ham a bit of a misheard.
Frank, maybe they were having a Zoom call and the connection broke.
Yeah.
No, they have been doing Zoom meetings.
Well, this is the
maybe
problem.
that's
So
it.
what
They
we're
thought
going
they're
to
buying
buy
West Ham.
West Ham?
Yeah, or maybe they thought they bought the rights to Tom Jones's hit "Sex Bomb." I think arguably the worst single of all time. I mean,
Well, you just got put off because he came out and you felt...
Does it come out?
No, he came out on stage and Frank said he looked like a sort of a bear that had been tranquilised, I believe.
well, that is true. Actually, and also, the only one vying for worst single of all time is "You Can Keep Your Hat On," which is almost from the same breath of Tom
I hate
Jones'
that
Sex.
song.
Two of them, I honestly phone the police to stop that being played.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Meanwhile, over in Wrexham, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhaney...
Oh, yeah. They said that they're ready to put forward their vision at a special general meeting. I think they might have a 2020 vision. You know, because that's what year it is.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, he's on fire today. The big man.
That's me,
But we
apparently.
don't. There's been nothing about what their
I think he's
vision.
body shaming me because I've bulked up during lockdown.
You have bulked up.
I know, but you
Put a bit
bulked
of
up
beef on.
in a good way. You haven't bulked up
No,
in
it's
No, I
lovely,
think that's-
lovely and sort of Deadpool.
a. Yeah.
So
We don't know what their vision is, though. What about?
No.
Would it be great if they bought the club and just demolished it, built a Hooters on the land?
yeah.
They got no interest in. Right. I mean, we're all trusting them on this.
that's right.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, what if it is they want it in a card game, as you say, as a drunken joke?
Man.
Oh,
And
It'd be great though if it is a bet, but the Wrexham get the money, and it's it's.
Oh,
great
I love
news
the
for
fact
them.
that Wrexham are going to get the money. In fact, I actually think this is, way better than when celebrities use their money for all that sickening charity work. Like, this is much
do you mean
better,
them
isn't it?
do-gooders, as I believe?
No, I didn't call them do-gooders, but I like this, that Ryan Reynolds and that other fella are buying a football
I
club.
like that you're distinguishing buying Wrexham FC from charity work. It's a very fine line.
Some would say that was the most generous charitable donation ever given.
Yeah, I mean, it could just turn out, beautifully.
Yeah, but Frank, that movie, I mean, it's got it.
Do you think it will be a movie?
Of course it will. And like I say, Ryan Reynolds won't get the part because Michael Sheen will beat him at the audition
Yeah.
of himself.
They were going to make a film of Leicester City winning the Premiership. What happened to that film?
that's-
Well, I
Still might
think
be.
there was some, events.
Oh,
Dear
right.
boy.
But they can cut out before. You want to end with that the champagne shooting around.
Yeah.
That's the
The
that's your
social
close.
distancing has put it on hold a bit. or
Oh, do you
something.
think?
I don't know.
Sad ending.
I think
Don't know.
everyone got excited and then thought, no, we don't want to make a film about that. What are you talking about? You know what happened to that Paul Potts film? That's the sort of
yeah, do you
conversation.
remember that?
Yeah, it's some films. Most unbelievable
Did you say
thing.
Paul Pot? Or...
Wasn't his name Paul Potts?
Oh, okay.
Paul Potts, who won...
Has there been
Britain's
a
Got
Paul? I don't
Talent.
think there's been a Pol Pot warm-hearted British movie.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Yeah, Year Zero to really pop. I love that. It's a tearjerker, that Year Zero.
A double
Oh,
bill with
my.
the penis shaped
Oh,
biopic.
man, can you imagine? How do you make a warm-hearted movie out of that? That baby.
With difficulty, I
Yes,
think.
with
Yeah.
great difficulty. I look, it's a fantastic story. I mean, I'm not one of these people who gets angry about, oligarchs buying clubs. For me, clubs like my own, West Bromwich Albion, you sort of live in that dream that the fairy godmother is going to turn
Right.
up and make you Manchester City. Otherwise, how could you possibly do it?
Yeah, we all need a Daddy Warbucks in our lives.
I'll tell you what, I've got a tense early evening in store. I'm going round David Baddiel's to watch Chelsea West Brom. That's going to be...
Oh, that'll be
That's going to
tough.
test our friendship to the absolute limit. Oh, man.
Frank Skinner.
We've had an email titled Football Club Buyouts. Morning all. I'm guessing you aren't aware that Mindy Kaling from the US version of The Office is a part owner of Swansea City.
Oh, I am aware.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
So it's
I
a
did.
thing then. It's a
What
bit
is it
like
with Wales?
It's American stars doing West End plays. Do you remember when that was the thing?
Oh, that was a thing, yeah. That was from Nolan
and
Port
moving
Talbot,
gear.
by the
A
way.
few of them moved here as well, didn't they?
Yes.
Clooney's here, isn't he?
No, I mean, Clooney
think
does
he's
have
Italy.
although, no, yeah. but-
Coffee. He's there for the coffee. I
Oh,
suppose.
yeah, yeah. Well, he's got a machine for that, though.
Has he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
do you think he
believe-
got it free?
But bear in mind,
You'd hope.
Amal Clooney is British, isn't she? I believe.
Is she?
I think she might be.
I don't know. There's a few of them who've ended up here.
Oh, yeah.
But Ryan Reynolds, I would be very... I mean, if he got involved with West Brom, I'd be quite excited.
Yeah.
Green Lantern.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah, come on.
I'm
That would be good.
I'm not aware of his Green Lantern work, but his Deadpool work I think is fantastic.
Might be time for a last... what's the rashest purchase you've ever made? Because I'm thinking this might be a drunk thing. I got drunk once. Luckily, me getting drunk and me having money didn't coincide. Otherwise, I worry I might have done something
Yeah, that could
like
have gone
that.
really badly, couldn't it?
I don't want to phone Wrexham FC from a central reservation at 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning saying I want to buy you at 2 million.
Yeah.
What is your rashest purchase?
I bought, now this doesn't sound, but I don't know why, I bought a T-shirt, like a designer T-shirt that was about 20 quid, which for me then was,
A lot of
for a
wonga.
T-shirt. I wouldn't spend that on a T-shirt now.
We know.
And it had an enormous face of Frank Sinatra on it, who I'm...
That sounds quite nice.
I'm not an enthusiast of Frank Sinatra. I had no idea. I just got the next day. It was just there. It had a bit of wee on the hem, but it was that kind of a night.
Oh, Frank.
But if you're Ryan Reynolds and you get that drunk,
Yeah.
you're not going to buy a T-shirt. You're going to buy a football club. That's what So any drunks out there, what's your rashest ever purchase?
Yeah.
I always think we're sort of a hangover medicine on this show. It's part of our role.
Whenever we do these stories about people with a sideline business, I always get a bit jealous. Like, I'd love a business so that I could say to people, yeah, I'm a stand-up, but I've also got a share in whatever.
See,
That's
I
like
wouldn't.
Frank. I told you when I interviewed you recently. You've got your side hustle now, poetry.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's not. I've always, when people said, why don't you start your own production company?
Yeah.
Because I went into a job where I could just be a child and mess about. I don't
Yeah.
want to be in a business meeting about profit.
Well, that's part
Shut
of the...
up.
Like, my fantasy is it's already done and I've got the side hustle, but the reality is that you have to go to meetings and I don't really have any, especially not now. I was wondering if, when I go for a dog walk, if I bump into a neighbour, does that count as a meeting? Because when I get back home, I say, oh, I met Susan on the dog walk.
I've
That's
gotta
not
tell,
a meeting.
I've got to tell you, I don't think it does.
And if you walk fast, is that a Zoom meeting?
Oh, God.
No?
I wish it'd be great if you had someone with you, an attractive woman in spectacles and hair pulled back, who took notes when you had those kind of meetings, took minutes. That would really unsettle people.
Yeah,
wouldn't
like
it?
in the rom-com when the new president gets hired and the woman running alongside him
yeah.
making notes
It's
furiously.
very West Wing.
Yes,
A
very
walk
West
and
Wing.
talk.
Frank, I'm glad you don't have a production company because I would hate you having to get letterhead with sort of taunting Omo Sherry Productions. And
I don't want to be in a first class carriage saying, yeah, I've been talking to Guy about the Rennington deal. Reckons we're going to have to run it about 11k. I don't want to be. I don't mind. Those people, they live there. But if I can get away from that, I don't want. I'd rather have less money. Simple as that.
I can't see
Fair
you
play.
sitting in a train carriage saying, yeah, I wanted to chat to you about the overnights.
Look, you get to a point where you think, I've probably got enough money now, I'm all right. That's why I turned down the Sauvage advert.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Al, what about 680? Come on.
680. Oh, yeah, that is a good
Paul in
message.
Leytonstone.
I'm a bit jealous of this story.
In fact, it's so you.
There's a lot to like here.
Yeah.
You're gonna. I think you should
read
share.
it. I'll read it. Or did you want to?
Oh, but
It'd
you
be
should.
terrible if we just talked about it.
And then when? That was the end of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a
Never actually read it. Just
Real
told. Just refer.
cliffhanger.
It'd be like Gillette Soccer Saturday.
Would it?
We don't actually get nothing, but we just hear
Yeah.
what they thought about
Well,
it.
you know what else, Frank? When the channels that don't have access to the Oscars, when they have to do the Oscars coverage, and when you're not seeing it,
Oh, yeah.
and they just announce the winners. Over to you.
We should
Worst
do
thing
it.
is football.
This is going to happen now.
No, you get football things, and it'd be a football documentary. And it's all really exciting. And then they'll say, and then they played in the World Cup, and it's photos instead of footage. Oh no!
I always think, you cheapos.
Anyway, Al, sorry.
Frank, I once woke up after a heavy bank holiday of drinking to find I'd bid on and won an old BMW 3 Series on eBay. After getting over the initial shock, I followed through with the £650 purchase, as you should. If you're bidding on eBay, you're bidding to actually have the item. It's not... Anyway, turned out to be a bargain, and I kept it for about 5 years. Cheers, Paul Leytonstone. That sort of stuff never happens. If that had happened to me, it would have then turned out to need a new head gasket, and I'd have been...
It would have been a
1,500
nail.
quid. Yeah.
You're saying
What
it would
is
have
a
been a
gasket?
nail.
I don't know. It's
Okay.
just a phrase. Isn't it?
Whatever happened to that
I mean,
when
I know
you
what
used
a gasket is, but I don't...
Blow a gasket.
For
Yeah.
years, I remember I had an old 1967 Vauxhall Viva. This was in probably the 80s.
Oh, big man.
And I was driving down the motorway with this guy I knew, and I was hitting probably obviously 70 max, but it was shaking. Oh, and this guy was a bit nervous, and he said, "Think of your conrods." I don't even know what is it. What are they?
Well, I remember someone saying, I think your alternator may have gone.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know what that was. I still don't.
I knew
Just
one
start.
thing about cars, and that was if you heard a car going,
What does that
say
mean?
a fan belt.
Oh.
Oh, God, I haven't
yeah.
said that for 30
I
years.
remember being in a car once and we saw someone ahead with smoke coming out, and someone said, I think your oil wants checking, mate.
Turned
and
out
I
it was a new
adopted.
pup.
No, lovely work. I was in Vatican City at the time. And I adopted that phrase, and I still don't quite understand what it meant, but I think it makes me sound knowledgeable about cars. If ever I see smoke coming out of a car, to this day I'll say, I think he wants his oil need checking.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I don't understand it.
The fan belt, this was the thing that people used to say, that when the fan belt went, you could use ladies' tights or stockings to fix it. That's all gone, of course.
There was even an ad, Frank, where I think someone's car broke down for Pretty Polly tights.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
The
Pretty
lady-
Polly Tight sponsored my behind when I won Rear of the Year.
Really?
Yeah.
Of course they did.
Extraordinary.
I don't like to name drop.
Extraordinary branding exercise.
Very quickly, drunk buying email. Stephen said, went to Selfridges in London drunk, bought a Burberry duffel coat for £1,000. Walked out the store wearing it like Liam Gallagher. Woke up next morning sobbing. Been in the wardrobe for 2 years. I take it out and look at it now and again.
Oh, no. I would wear that if it looked terrible.
Oh, yeah. You'd have to wear it loads
And it
to get the
would.
cost per wear down, wouldn't you?
God, you'd have to wear it for the rest of your life every day.
Now, Frank, I have a question for you go. Also, Catherine McCulloch, Trevor Bayliss used to love his segment on The Big Breakfast in the Inventors chair.
Oh, okay.
But I'd like to ask you, the special day is on Monday. I've got it waiting to download my podcast, Frank Skinner's Poetry Podcast, Season 2.
Season 2.
Hooray.
Could you trail some of your, who are your greatest hits?
Well, I'm going from...
Who's going to be on the show?
I'm going from contemporary poets like the fabulous Liz Berry, who comes from my, as they say, neck of the woods.
Yeah.
But I go as far back as 1735 to Alexander Pope.
Ah.
And that's an hour-long special.
Is it really?
Because it needs a bit of history.
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
know.
Pope special.
Yeah, Pope Deluxe Alexander Pope.
I'm unsurprised you could talk about Pope for an hour.
Bit of Wordsworth. We've got this
Oh,
series.
excellent.
Rita Dove, Tadeusz Dobrowski.
Great
You're going to be on the
stuff.
syllabus soon.
Oh, well,
Honestly.
yeah. I might be on the syllabobs when I get home if we've got any in the fridge. And thank you for listening to us. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.